abusuya mincha na misanso mu akwa basonko so enfa channel so hada so e be media GH abusuya eye Jaman South MP yes and abusuya ne ho nsem aba betodwa eye honorable damu akwadwo abusuya allegedly say eyade a another big by election is cooking yes nia eto eye honorable Jachi Kwesi no abusuya allegedly ebi ato eye Jaman South MP a ne din ede eye honorable damu akwadwo current sitting MP na abusuya we dey ma mekasa wan pese ekone kuti ensem no mu akasa enchire mu de na je san ensem we na e de ebae abusuani na ejina eye kind of ori ata na nsenya OSP eba bonten e de another eye 72 charges bi ebe bo no ache say eye related corrupt cases abusuan papa edin allegedly akwakopiem eye Jaman South MP ni din akwakopiem abusuan ye say ya che na enya nsem kuto abusuan we de yenko ni nsem no mu ankasa enchire mu yentie ensem no mu ankasa enchire mu ebia na abusuan mihunuka ntie yenko ni ntie ha eda so ebe media GH se enane de koni twa channel so a ebe so aso be subscribe be like na wabo aso a share mabofra pensam ni bi atie no enya bi atie yenko ko tie eye ensem atodwa efa eye Jaman South MP abusuan sesi amene we kasai amane bone echemu echese ya so anu a enya nsem keto sesi ya de by election kese pa na ekuku ewo eye ne constituency ya de by election kase ekuku wo hopa enya nsem keto yenko ni tie nsem no makase nchema na sesi ya
OSP ne charges or the aba ne nipa wache wo mu which involve a year of reata na nipa ya che na a man for can by election eh Jaman South MP and didi damwa kwadwo na enwumre ene nam na ye tinkomo mi se by election na omo body Jaman South allegedly because this is the document of a office of special prosecutor I charges no our charges 78 counts of corruption and related offenses no ushoma MP friend no kwadwo damu our current sitting MP yes current city MP now was I former commissioner of customs division of GRA yes nintino ya na mo se Jaman South ne hwehwemo se Jaman South kwa wan ye MP ho ene hwehwema na se kwadwo damu na wa current city MP OSP ache no as say no me tete by election rumors allegedly tete by election enti assistant now city MP for Jaman South or a part of MPP caucus OSP ache na to say yachi go bi so dia is more like linking to by election enti no tete by election that is the woman say me the better so Jaman South TV3 a good nighter or mobile say one MP is involved and I made it sure in internal equity story and OSP story no na koye kinofurata and a piece as a bring in a buy na mission.
Even further, Dennis Kwaberi is here with me to do just that. Dennis, what are we learning? Maybe not learning, right? But what are we trying to remind our viewers of?
Well, so it's indeed the case that, the former finance minister through his lawyers had communicated to the OSP that he was going to be available between 14th and 30th of May 2025. The OSP had been in conversation with him, trying to get an in-person interview with him. He had indicated that he was not well, he was out of the jurisdiction, and if the OSP wouldn't mind, his lawyers could engage on his behalf. That the OSP turned down, insisting on a personal appearance. So he had given 14th and to 30th May 2025 for that particular in-person appearance. That was because he had said that between 20th and 21st of March 2025, he was due for a surgery. That did not happen. Now, mind you, before this incident, the OSP had declared him a fugitive, and that was when he put him up as a wanted person.
Right.
But for this intervention, because he had given a date that he was going to come back, then he was taken off briefly. This was confirmed by the minority leader in Parliament, as we saw in that town tip. Fast forward, this particular date that was given by the OSP, the former finance minister through his lawyers, was missed. That is to say, he didn't show up as he had promised. Right. So he then requested for a virtual interview in replace of the in-person appearance. That the OSP turned down, and also went ahead by the 5th of June to restore his fugitive status and put him on the Interpol red notice. Now, what we are learning now is the fact that his name has been taken off the Interpol Red Notice. That is because there's a challenge to the process. The OSP has acknowledged same to say that, yes, during the pendency of the process, it is standard practice that his name be taken off from that particular list. Now we are also learning, because the OSP has now filed charges against the former finance minister and others, and they'll be due for court on Monday. His lawyers are saying, because this is a criminal matter, the summons have to be served on him personally, or he has to be notified about the pendency of this particular matter. The lawyers say that that has not been formally done. But what we are also learning from the OSP, as regards what's going to happen on Monday, is the fact that, yes, they'll be arraigned before the courts, and that the OSP says that they will seek the necessary court orders for service of the charge sheet on the fugitives who are out of the country. This is in respect of Ken Ofori-Atta and then one other person. The processes, the OSP does not say exactly what it is, but to the extent that there are persons at large, one of the things that the OSP will be seeking to do is to get an arrest warrant, and also to get that opportunity to be able to serve those processes out of the jurisdiction. We've also been speaking to persons who have practiced in the law courts. We've spoken to, respected senior Martin Lawyer Kwebu has spoken to us earlier today. He explained what really the situation is going to be come Monday when these persons are put before the law court. Let's take a listen to that.
The Constitution, Article 19, Clause 3A, says the trial of an accused person can take place in his absence if it is proven that he was notified about the trial, notified, with all emphasis on notified about the trial, and he fails to attend. So once you give the court credible evidence of notification, credible, and this one, because it's a criminal trial, the judge would ask for the most cogent, most, reliable, extremely reliable evidence that Ken Ofori-Atta has been said. So then, you see why now we should be blaming Kissi Ejabi once again, unless, of course, he's done it on our blind side.
Right.
Ofori-Atta offered to engage the OSP via Zoom. That's virtual, not just Zoom. Zoom is one of the virtual ways of communicating. Virtually. We should have taken it. So if we had done these interviews, Ofori-Atta, why is this? Then he answers everything that can be done virtually. Can you imagine that this would have boosted the reliability of any form of communication? So then you do some via email. So if you sent the charges to him, that's the charge sheet and the fact sheet to him via email, the judge will accept because he can show that, I've been communicating with Ofori-Atta through email.
Okay.
And then if you did post, you ask him for his this mailing address, then you send it. Because now I'm wondering, but we'll hold our horses. If eventually Kissi Ejabi listen to our advice and engage Ofori-Atta quietly, we'll find out on Monday.
Well, Martin Kwebu is a legal practitioner. He's just been looking ahead into Monday when all 8 of them all face the law court, right?
Yes, so Monday is really going to be a long day. So aside this hurdle of having to determine how these processes will get to Ken Ofori-Atta, there's also the other question of, one of the accused persons is an MP, and when it comes to MPs, the procedure for getting them before the court is quite special. That is also another matter to be dealt with. Even beyond that, there are 78 charges. What it means is that it's going to be a long day. All these charges, including their particulars, will be read in open court. It could take as long as minimum 3 hours or more. The last time we encountered something like this was in respect of Mustafa Hamid, 25 counts. It took more than 2 hours for the court to get this done with. So Monday really is going to be a long day, but obviously we'll keep eyes on that particular matter.
Absolutely, and and the issue of the lawyer that the MP that you raised is really important because we've raised it before, but since we raised that issue till now, we've not had whether any processes has been served on the speaker,
Parliament and all that.
And the like.
So Monday, it's also one of the things that we are looking out for.
Likely an obstacle for the OSP when it comes to the Member of Parliament.
But the other side is that whoever shows up will be taken through the process because Monday is for them to take their plea. So when that happens, as long as the court will sit, there will be some business in respect of this particular matter.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dennis. Dennis Poberry. is my producer, and he's been taking us back, walking us back, really. Now, Ken Ofori-Atta, whose extradition to the country to face 28 counts of corruption and causing financial loss to the state have been unsuccessful so far. Months ago, when Ofori-Atta's medical team in the U.S. requested more time to allow him undergo treatment before returning to the country to face the OSP at the time, it was also at this time the minority leader, Alexander Apenyo-Markin, told the House he will be returned. So now, let's put this whole issue into perspective. We'll walk back the timeline. We'll take you now to February. Take a look.
Giving assurances to the House that in the interests of democracy, in the rule of law, and to assure the nation that this side of the House will do all it can to ensure that the member, the Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta, avails himself to attend upon the OSP. Indeed, I pursued it, I engaged him extensively, and his lawyers, Mr. Speaker, in a letter dated today, the 18th of February 2025, have written to the OSP, and for the avoidance of doubt, I shall read the content aloud. It's addressed to the Special Prosecutor, our redirection to attend the Office of Special Prosecutor. It reads, we acknowledge receipt of your letter dated the 17th of February 2025. We respectfully indicate that our client's post-mark date for his return cannot be any time before 6 to 8 weeks after the possible surgical intervention in March stated in the Mayo Clinic letter. Our client hopes that taking into account the surgery dated the 20th to 21st of March and recuperation period, he should be able to back to this jurisdiction between 14th May and 30th May 2025. We hope you find this date reasonable and same can guide your office in fixing a date for the in-person attendance of our client to your office for investigation. Having clarified the purpose and length of our client's absence, Leader, we hope that the tag of a Leader, wanted person.
Hold on, please. Yes, my majority leader.
Mr. Speaker, what the minority leader is doing is conveying a communication from the lawyers of Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta to this House. So, Speaker, the rules of this House are clear on communications. If you go to Order 65, it is clear on communications to the House. Who qualifies to communicate to the House and who qualifies to convey the communication to the House? They are clearly spelled out in Order 65, and I think that what he's attempting to do is to convey a communication by the lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta to this House, which is clearly wrong. So, Speaker, it is clearly wrong to attempt to be the conveyor of communication from Ken Ofori-Atta's lawyers to this House. I think that it is not acceptable, and we cannot accept communication from the lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta to this House. He is not a member of this House. He is not a Minister of State. And so there's no basis for this House to be receiving communication from the lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta. We haven't summoned him before any of our committees. He is not to appear before a committee. We are not investigating him. So on what basis is his lawyers communicating to us when he will come to Ghana and when he will not come to Ghana? So, Mr. Speaker, there is no basis for the communication to this House of the whereabouts of Ken Ofori-Atta. And he is not qualified to convey that message to this House.
So the clip you just saw is from February, and the whole 9 years of debates that took place after the minority leader, Alexander Apenyo-Markin, read that statement from lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta. And you heard the dates clearly. He needed 6 to 8 weeks for his surgery, and he couldn't be back in Ghana until getting to the end of, May. You recall that subsequent to that, he was taken off the wanted list because the OSP understood from his perspective that he needed time for medical attention. So then let's fast forward to June. In June, when Ofori-Atta did not come into the country, this matter came up in Parliament again. Take a look.
To stop doing what he's doing. Between us, at our level, when you rise up to raise a point of order, let it be a point of order. Let it not be on a frolic of your own, running all over the place. Please, this is not a point of order. At our level, you don't do that. Mr. Speaker, if I may say, he promised this house that he will bring Ken Ofori-Atta in May. Where is Ken Ofori-Atta? Where is Ken Ofori-Atta? Where is Ken? Where is Ken? Where is Ken? You promised us that you will bring Ken to this house. He came to this house and made a promise. You promised this house that you will produce Ken. You will produce Ken Ofori-Atta in May. We are in June. This is the 3rd of June. Why is Ken Ofori-Atta? Mr. Speaker, he should no longer be heard in this house. Because when he makes promises, he doesn't fulfill them. He comes here and makes promises and never fulfills them. And yet he is questioning other people's promises. When you made a promise, did you fulfill it?
Members, honestly speaking,
Mr. Speaker,
I try as much as possible to accommodate leadership.
9 months since February, 5 months since June. Ken Ofori-Atta is still not in the country. So today, the majority side, led by Mahama Ayariga, took the opportunity to remind his minority counterpart to produce the former finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. Here's the showdown in Parliament.
To solicit an answer from an honorable minority leader. He gave us authoritative information that by February 18th, the honorable former finance minister was going to be in Ghana. So I'm saying, where is the former finance minister? I thought you were going to tell us his whereabouts. Ministers of finance who have occupied that office after their tenure, they remain in this country. Where is our former finance minister? Where is he?
The records would bear me out that indeed, when the respected former finance minister had issue with the OSP, which mattered the majority leader himself, came to apologize. He used the dispatch box to apologize on behalf of government for the mishandling of the whole matter. We as leaders owed a responsibility and a duty in the matter. I, right here, indicated that Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta had written to the OSP through his lawyers that he was going to be in the country on or before May, not July. This was in February. Mr. Speaker, in the letter, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta again indicated that he had been booked for surgery. When the time came and his doctors further advised that the surgery will require some healing process, Mr. Speaker, he again wrote, this time not only a letter by his lawyers, the letter from his doctors. It is not a matter of I resigning or making a promise and failing to honor that. Let's put things in proper context. All I want Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim to understand is that when it comes to ill health, our medicals, all of us may go through it one way or the other. If a man is going through a serious medical condition, how many of us will be bold to disclose our medical record? But the man has disclosed his medical record. Mr. Speaker, that hospital where he's receiving treatment is a renowned medical hospital in the United States. Let's be fair to Ken Ofori-Atta. Let's be fair. It can be you tomorrow.
Giving an impression that members on this side are insensitive to the medical condition of Ken Ofori-Atta. That is the impression you have sought to give. Mr. Speaker, Ken Ofori-Atta was very sick in this country. You could see the sickness in his face. By that time, it was sweet to be a finance minister. It was sweet to be a finance minister. In spite of the ill health, he persisted and insisted on remaining in this country as a finance minister. How come that suddenly, because today he is being sought after by the law enforcement agencies, he cannot live in this country and is claiming illness? He was sick when he was finance minister. We all saw it. He was sick.
Honorable members.
So that's the show.